you see him on the news.
CNN.com contributor, Dean Obeidallah. So, Dean...
Watch him at comedy clubs.
When I say Mecca, do you think of a holy place or an urban clothing line?
Read his articles, and you hear him on the radio. The Dean Obeidallah Show is on live right here on SiriusXM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters of the resistance. Thursday, April 11th. I'm Dean Obeidallah. I'm here for the next 3 hours with you, hoping to be your MBFF. I'm on Twitter, of course, at Dean Obeidallah. And we have a lot to talk about. In fact, we have a lot of great guests to talk about it. But before we get into all the issues we got to talk about, we need some humor. I always think it's important because if not, I get angry really quickly. So it's much more important we start with some humor. And here's Colbert last night on Donald Trump and his beloved wall. Clip number 1, please.
On his way out of town, Trump explained his central governing philosophy. Well,
we built a lot of wall, and it's new wall. You know, when we rip down an old wall and then replace it, it's called a new wall, and that's what we've done. A lot of wall is going up, and every place we build the wall, it's less and less.
My mouth is dry and my heart is just racing in a panic trying to follow that sentence. At this point, I think he's just reciting avant-garde poetry. A wall is going up. It is new. Old is down. And now a wall in every place. And less, you know. I should have been a pair of ragged claws sculling across the walls of Silent Wall.
And it is unreal when you play Trump organically for the audience, and before even a punchline comes, the audience begins laughing. Because Donald Trump, for us, is a scary punchline. He's frightening, but he's a punchline. He's a joke. We know he is. To his base, he's a genius. He's unreal. He's remarkable. And here is Colbert, a quick joke I thought was really funny about Donald Trump declaring himself the big winner over what? Let's have Colbert answer.
He also lashed out at the Mueller report.
I have not seen the Mueller report. I have not read the Mueller report. I won. No collusion, no obstruction. I won. Everybody knows I won.
You don't win a report. Why is everything about winning with this guy? I woke up, I won breakfast. Then I destroyed the bathroom. Pure victory getting dressed. First, it was neck and neck between me and the pants because I put the pants around my neck. But then I remembered, no, legs. Then I won. Slacks, you're a loser.
I won. There is no winning in this report. But to Donald Trump, everything is a zero-sum game. And that sort of sums up his whole attitude towards us. That's why he doesn't want to be our president. He only wants to be president of his base, king of the base, and he doesn't care about the rest of America. There's no nuance. It's win and lose. And if you've supported me, I'm going to help you. And if you don't support me, if you don't love me, if you're not a sycophant, and if you do anything critical of me whatsoever, you're dead to me. So we got a lot of guests. We're going to have 2 members of Congress. If all goes well. Congressman Bonnie Watson-Coleman at the bottom of the hour, and then Congressman Ted Lieu at the top. We'll take a lot of phone calls in between and after Congressman Lieu. But today is National Pet Day. I hope if you have a pet, it's a special day for you. And of course, Donald Trump's favorite pet is Attorney General Bill Barr. Because Bill Barr will do anything Trump asks. He's an amazing pet. He will roll over to cover up for Trump's crimes. He will bark on command about spying. And Trump's pet, Bill Barr, will sit up at hearings and lie to protect him. It's like, good Bill Barr. Good Bill Barr. Oh, you're such a good Bill Barr. This is unreal what we have. We covered that in great detail yesterday, how Donald Trump has hired himself a personal lawyer in Bill Barr, not an attorney general. But today's big news, of course, was British authorities arrested Julian Assange, the Wikileaks guy, in response to an American extradition request. And they unsealed the court indictment and they charged him with a single count of conspiracy to hack a classified Defense Department document. He's been for years in the Ecuadorian embassy in the UK. Here's a reminder. Here's why this is really important. On October 7, 2016, about a month away from Election Day, U.S. intelligence agencies put out a public statement that gets some press. It should have gotten more, but it got press saying that U.S. intelligence officials have assessed with high confidence, that's their terms, with high confidence, that Russian intelligence operators had hacked the DNC and the Clinton campaign and subsequently provided internal materials obtained through those hacks to WikiLeaks so they could be publicly released. So we knew in October, early October 2016, that it was the Russians who had attacked the DNC and the Clintons, and then they gave the emails to WikiLeaks. So Donald Trump knew WikiLeaks was an arm of the Russian government at that time. What did Donald Trump do? Well, in October 2016, here he is at a rally after that whole announcement came out. Here's a quick one. Clip number 4.
This just came out. WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks.
He loves WikiLeaks. In fact, Donald Trump, and this is just statistically accurate, going back 2016 in the closing weeks of the campaign, Donald Trump mentioned the word WikiLeaks over 140 times. It was quantified by PolitiFact, over 140 times in interviews, in speeches, and in tweets, and in debates, praising WikiLeaks. Not everyone praising them, citing them, and then praising them. So using what he knew was stolen data from the Russian military contractors, Russian hackers, to help his campaign. And see, in my view, WikiLeaks was an important part of the Trump campaign, a very, very visible part of the Trump campaign. And in that, first, he said he loved him. Second, he used their names. And third, more than that, we found out in February, when Michael Cohen testified, that Donald Trump knew in advance, way back in July 2016, that Roger Stone, Trump's longtime BFF, was talking to Julian Assange and to WikiLeaks. And they knew in advance about dumps of emails from the DNC that had been stolen from the Russians. In fact, here is Michael Cohen. Let's remind everyone exactly what's going on. Here's clip number 5 from February.
A lot of people have asked me about whether Mr. Trump knew about the release of the hacked documents, the Democratic National Committee emails, ahead of time. And the answer is yes. As I earlier stated, Mr. Trump knew from Roger Stone in advance about the WikiLeaks drop of emails. In July of 2016, days before the Democratic convention, I was in Mr. Trump's office when his secretary announced that Roger Stone was on the phone. Mr. Trump put Mr. Stone on the speakerphone. Mr. Stone told Mr. Trump that he had just gotten off the phone with Julian Assange, and that Mr. Assange told Mr. Stone that within a couple of days, there would be a massive dump of emails that would damage Hillary Clinton's campaign. Mr. Trump responded by stating to the effect, "Wouldn't that be great?"
I would imagine most non-criminals, if they would have heard that, they would have contacted the FBI and said, there's reports that Russians have, or someone at that point, we didn't know Russians, but someone had attacked the DNC, and now we know that WikiLeaks is about to dump it. They're the ones, and we want to give you a heads up. But Donald Trump didn't. He goes, it was great, because they were part of the campaign. In fact, it goes beyond that. And this is something the media is sort of missing today. I don't know why. Google is the greatest place to find all this stuff. Donald Trump Jr. was communicating with WikiLeaks. It could have been Assange. We don't know, but it's on WikiLeaks through Twitter. And on Twitter, there's a function called direct message, which is like a private email back and forth to people. So if you're not on Twitter, it's the equivalent of emailing, just goes back and forth to two people. So we learned in 2017, after the campaign, because Donald Trump Jr. covered this up just like his Trump Tower meeting, we learned that in September and October of 2016, WikiLeaks was reaching out to Donald Trump Jr. And Donald Trump Jr. was responding. Because anyone can reach out to you, but responding is different. And he responded. In an October 3rd, 2016 exchange, WikiLeaks sent a message to John Jr. saying, "Hiya, it would be great if you guys could comment, push this story, and link to a quote from Hillary Clinton suggesting a drone strike against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange." Trump Jr. responded, "Already did that earlier today. It's amazing what she can get away with." Later, a few days later, Trump Jr. goes to WikiLeaks getting information saying, what's behind this Wednesday leak I keep reading about? And there was no response to WikiLeaks to that, but they heard about a leak coming and they wanted to know about it. A few days later, WikiLeaks responds to Trump Jr. saying that, asking him to share another story. And there's a lot of great stories out there and the media is not covering it. Donald Trump Jr. did not respond to that message. But what happens 15 minutes later? Donald Trump, the father, retweets the very story WikiLeaks asks them to amplify. And 2 days later, October 14, 2016, Donald Trump tweets out the link that WikiLeaks talked about a few days before. And this is all after the American public is told that Russia's behind the hacking and that WikiLeaks is involved in distributing stolen data. But there is Donald Trump Jr., there's Donald Trump, and as Michael Cohen testified, even as early as July 2016, Trump working together. Again, WikiLeaks is part of the Trump campaign. And here's the problem with the mandate of Robert Mueller. Because one of the few lines we got from the actual Mueller report that Barr put in there was that he found no coordination between the Russian government and Trump campaign officials. Entity with ties to the Russian government. But it is not part of the Russian government. And Robert Mueller is a lawyer, charged very clearly what he's supposed to do. So he found nothing between the Russian government and the Trump campaign. Clearly, WikiLeaks, which had these stolen emails from the Russian government and the Trump campaign, was in contact. We're seeing Donald Trump Jr. This is completely undisputed. Donald Trump Jr. even released them all his little tweets in July, in 2017 when it came to light, going, this is all we tweeted about, big deal. So there's no denial that Donald Trump Jr. was working with WikiLeaks. There's no denial. Michael Cohen testified that the father knew about it in July 2016. Not one Republican in that committee, when Michael Cohen testified to that fact, not one challenged that fact. Not one goes, that's ridiculous, that's unbelievable, or we have something to contradict that. No, they didn't. They left that unchallenged, meaning they have no evidence to undermine Michael Cohen's testimony that Roger Stone talked to Donald Trump in July 2016 and said, WikiLeaks is helping your campaign. And Donald Trump did not go to the FBI. He didn't tell anyone. He just said that would be great. But what happens today? What happens today when Donald Trump is asked about WikiLeaks, which we all see, as I've laid out for you, was an integral part of this campaign? Without WikiLeaks weaponizing stolen emails, Donald Trump does not win the election. I have little doubt he does not win. I can't quantify it, but again, it only took 77,000 votes in 3 key states to tip this election for Hillary. Without this drumbeat of emails, and then they become intertwined with Hillary's emails, and people just hear email. Oh, if it's Hillary emails, it's WikiLeaks emails, I don't know, but it's emails, and Hillary, it's got to be bad, because that was the media narrative the media had set up for a whole year before that. So Donald Trump asked today about WikiLeaks after all this stuff. I love WikiLeaks. His son's working with them. Roger Stone saying they're going to dump more emails. He's really happy about it. What does Donald Trump say today? Here's clip number 3.
Do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. And I know there is something having to do with Julian Assange. I've been seeing what's happened with Assange, and that will be a determination, I would imagine, mostly by the Attorney General, who's doing an excellent job.
I don't know anything about WikiLeaks. Ladies and gentlemen of this jury, I give you a guilty man. If I was trying this case, this is how I would set up the case. This is how I would have set up the opening statement. I would have given you this evidence, and then Donald Trump, we would have played his clip for everyone, and a jury would have laughed because it's so ridiculous for Trump to say, I know nothing about WikiLeaks. Because this is far beyond him going to rallies and saying, I love WikiLeaks. That's a minor thing. You can say that. We know now, through Michael Cohen, that Donald Trump knew in July 2016 and was very happy to accept it. We know now that Donald Trump Jr. was in contact with WikiLeaks, coordinating, at least speaking about WikiLeaks dumps and amplifying their very message. WikiLeaks was part of the 2016 Trump campaign. It is undisputed. But today, I know nothing about WikiLeaks. Look, you've got to be, I'm not sure the right term. You have to be a Trump supporter. Let's put it that way. Let me be nice. To believe that. Because no one else would believe that. It's unbelievable. And while the Mueller investigation is over, and I was tweeting, reopen the Mueller investigation, but they're not going to, because Robert Mueller's mandate by Rod Rosenstein was very clear. Connection between the Russian government and the Trump campaign. WikiLeaks is not part of the Russian government. That's how this is falling through the cracks. I can hope the Southern District of New York is picking up these new threads of an investigation. We still have Roger Stone is going to have a trial for lying about his connection with WikiLeaks. But this is unreal. Don't forget, Donald Trump knowingly used stolen data to help his campaign. If I knowingly use stolen goods, that's a crime in itself. But Donald Trump knowingly used stolen data to help his campaign. And this is where we stand. How Donald Trump Jr. walks the streets and is not under indictment or in prison is beyond me. How Donald Trump, the father, is not under indictment or on trial right now is beyond me. This is a travesty of our criminal justice system, that these two can work with the Russians, work with Wikileaks, and they do it without any kind of legal consequence whatsoever. Shows in our system of justice, the wealthy and powerful are still above the law, and that cannot be. So this is not over, folks. There's a lot more to go with this, and ultimately it might take us on November 3rd, 2020 to remove Donald Trump. I'd be very happy if we did that, but he should be charged with the crime. So let's take a break. I want to hear from you. It's sort of like, usually we have a lot more time to take calls. We're going to in the 7, but we'll take some calls, and we have Congressman Bonnie Watson-Coleman for a little bit. Then right after that, Congressman Ted Lieu. Then we have a lot of time for calls. In the third hour, great people. Eugene Scott from the Washington Post. You may have just seen him on MS a few minutes ago. He'll join us. And Aisha Moody Mills will be here at 8:30. Last night we had some scheduling issues, but she'll be here. So let's take a break. I'd love to hear from you. 866-997-4748. Does this matter to you at all that Donald Trump is lying about WikiLeaks when we know it's part of his campaign? Where does this go? Do you want to see Donald Trump Jr. get indicted? Because I do. I really do. It's not healthy, but I do. 866-997-4748. Let's take a break. Come right back. At this point, the question is not who connected to Donald Trump as a criminal. The question is anyone connected